Prime Minister Narendra Modi gives 5-point mantra for Atmanirbhar Bharat, says intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure and innovation are important for getting growth back. Adds that glimpse of all these 5 points is clearly visible in bold decisions taken by the government recently. PM Modi stresses that the country now needs to manufacture products which are made in India but are made for the world. Also says we need to strengthen India's stake in global supply chain to bolster economy. Maharashtra and Gujarat brace for cyclone Nisagra brewing in the Arabian Sea. NDMA, NDRF and IMD prepared to deal with any eventuality. Cyclone expected to make landfall tomorrow. Government adds more flight to Vande Bharat mission to enable stranded Indians to return home. Air India to operate 70 flights to US and Canada under phase 3 of the mission from 11th to 30th June. Number of active cases of COVID stand at 97,581. 95,526 have been cured of the disease, while 5,598 fatalities reported so far. More than 62.5 lakh people infected globally. One terrorist gunned down in encounter with security forces in Salmoa, South Pulwama of Jammu and Kashmir. In Chhattisgarh, a Maoist killed in an encounter with security forces in Bijapur district. Hello and welcome to this edition of the news. I'm Rukma and our top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today delivered the inaugural address at Confederation of Indian Industry Annual Session 2020, Getting Growth Back. He said that re-strengthening the economy against corona is one of our highest priorities. For this, the government, he said, has taken immediate decisions, besides taking several others which will help the country in the long run. PM Modi asserted that we will stabilize our economy and will definitely get our growth back.
हमें एक तरफ देशवासियों का जीवन भी बचाना है, तो दूसरी तरफ देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को भी स्टेबलाइज करना है, स्पीड अप करना है। इस सिचुएशन में आपने गेटिंग ग्रोथ बैक इस बात को प्राथमिकता दी है और निश्चित तौर पर इसके लिए आप सभी भारतीय उद्योग जगत के लोग बधाई के पात्र हैं।
To put India back on the path of rapid development and become self-reliant, the PM said important is to ensure intent, inclusion, investment, infrastructure and innovation. He added that a glimpse of all these 5 points is clearly visible in the bold decisions taken recently by the government.
तेज विकास के पथ पर लाने के लिए, आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाने के लिए 5 बातें बहुत आवश्यक है। इंटेंट, इंक्लूजन, इन्वेस्टमेंट, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और इनोवेशन। हाल में जो बोल्ड फैसले लिए गए हैं, उसमें भी आपको इन सभी की झलक मिल जाएगी। इन फैसलों के साथ हमने तमाम सेक्टर्स को फ्यूचर रेडी किया है। इसी वजह से आज भारत एक नए ग्रोथ ओरिएंटेड फ्यूचर की दिशा में बड़ी उड़ान के लिए तैयार है।
The Prime Minister also said that the country now needs to manufacture products which are made in India but are made for the world. He added that now we have to invest in the creation of a robust local supply chain that strengthens India's stake in the global supply chain.
अब जरूरत है कि देश में ऐसे प्रोडक्ट्स बने जो मेड इन इंडिया हो, मेड फॉर द वर्ल्ड हो। कैसे हम देश का आयात कम से कम करें, इसे लेकर क्या नए लक्ष्य तय किए जाएं, उस पर सोचने की जरूरत है। हमें तमाम सेक्टर्स में प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ाने के लिए अपने टारगेट तय करने ही होंगे।
This was the Prime Minister's first major speech on the Indian economy since the announcement of Unlock 1. The well-marked low-pressure area over southeast and adjoining East Central Arabian Sea and Lakshadweep area concentrated into a depression, and it is very likely to intensify into a deep depression today. It will intensify further into a cyclonic storm over East Central Arabian Sea during the subsequent 24 hours. Thus, Cyclone Nisagra is expected to hit some parts of Maharashtra, Gujarat and Daman and Diu tomorrow. The sea condition is very likely to be very rough to high over Northeast Arabian Sea along and off the South Gujarat coast tomorrow. Meanwhile, Union Home Minister Amit Shah yesterday held a high-level review meeting with officials of NDMA, NDRF, IMD and Indian Coast Guard on preparedness for dealing with the cyclone brewing in the Arabian Sea. He also held a video conference meeting with Chief Ministers of Gujarat and Maharashtra and Administrator of Dadar and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu. The Home Minister assured them all central help in view of the impending cyclone and asked them to spell out in detail the requirements and resources needed to deal with the situation. Director General of National Disaster Response Force S.N. Pradhan assured that all arrangements for Cyclone Nisagra are in place. The NDRF has deployed 21 teams across both states and 10 more teams have been kept in reserve. NDRF DG has stated that they are fully prepared to deal with any calamity.
सारी तैयारियां पूरी हैं। लगभग 10 और 11, 21 टीमें एनडीआरएफ की दोनों राज्यों में तैनात हैं और करीब 10 और टीमें रिजर्व में रहेंगी और साथ ही साथ पंजाब में स्टैंड बाय में 6 टीमें रहेंगी और 5 टीमें आंध्र प्रदेश में रहेंगी। तो इस तरह से तैयारी मुकम्मल है।
And in view of impending cyclone Nisagra, Coast Guard ships, aircrafts and shore stations continue to advise and relay weather warning to fishermen and merchant vessels out at sea off the coast of Goa, Maharashtra and Gujarat. Besides weather cautioning, the Coast Guard ships are also engaged in shepherding fishing boats to safety. In view of cyclonic activity over the Arabian Sea, Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani chaired a high-level meeting to assess preparedness of the state machinery to tackle all eventualities. The state government has also ordered evacuation of people living in low-lying areas and deployed teams of the National Disaster Response Force in over half a dozen districts. All fishermen of South Gujarat and Saurashtra have been called back from the sea. Salt pan workers of these regions have been shifted to safer locations. Meanwhile, collectors have been also asked to make sure electricity supply to COVID-19 hospitals in their respective areas is not affected. A control room has been activated in Gandhinagar to monitor the situation. Joining us now is our correspondent. Moving on in the bulletin, the government is continuing to bring back stranded Indians from across the globe through Vande Bharat mission. The government is further planning to expand the mission to make the facility available for more Indians who are stranded in different countries. Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said Air India will operate 70 more flights to the US and Canada in phase 3 of the mission during June 11th to 30th. Meanwhile, 3,891 people returned yesterday from Dubai, Kuwait, Abu Dhabi, Muscat, Bahrain, Salalah, Moscow, Kiev, Madrid, Tokyo, Dhaka, Bishkek, Almaty, Riyadh and Dammam. Operation Samudra Setu continues to repatriate Indian nationals from overseas. Indian naval ship Jalashwa, which embarked with 685 Indian nationals from Colombo, reached Tuticorin in Tamil Nadu today. Passengers expressed happiness over their return and said that they are grateful to the Indian government for bringing them back. The Indian High Commissioner Gopal Bagle also appreciated the efforts of the Indian government, the Indian Navy, government of Tamil Nadu and the Sri Lankan government for their efforts in the mission. INS Jalashwa is scheduled to bring back another 700 Indian nationals from Maldives on Friday.
Great to be back home, and we thank the Navy people and the Indian Commission for having brought us back home safe. We had a very pleasant trip. We are so grateful for the Indian government to bring us back. Yeah, it feels great to be back home, and we thank the Navy.
And let's now take a look at the latest update on COVID-19 from across the country. According to the Health and Family Welfare Ministry, 97,581 active cases have been registered across the country, while 95,526 have been cured so far. The total number of affected people has reached 1,98,706. 5,598 have succumbed to COVID-19 so far. The first phase of the nationwide unlock program began yesterday with progressive easing of restrictions. Unlock 1 has allowed a phased reopening of most activities across the country. The government has also allowed unfettered movement of goods and persons between states and within states. All prohibited activities will be allowed inside the containment zones. However, strict enforcement of lockdown in containment zones will continue. The Unlock 1, however, will play out differently in most states, as they have been given the freedom to prohibit certain activities if they deem fit, but they cannot water down the central guidelines. National capital's borders have been sealed for a week. However, within the city, there are more relaxations, including barber shops and salons being open and odd even restrictions from markets being lifted.
पहले तो रोज इधर स्टेडियम भी जाते थे, पार्क जाते थे। अब 2 महीने बाद खुले हैं तो वर्कआउट भी सारा छूट रखा था। बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है यार, तो
बहुत अच्छा फील हो रहा है। 2 महीने बाद लॉकडाउन खुला है, पार्क भी थोड़े बहुत खुले हैं।
हाँ, पहले घर में ही थोड़ा योगा वगैरह करना पड़ रहा था। यहाँ पर फ्रेश होता है, बिल्कुल साफ सुथरा है और अच्छा वेदर है।
लोग घरों में बैठे बैठे सब परेशान ही हो गए थे, अब अच्छा हो गया, खुल गया, बढ़िया हो गया। अब मॉर्निंग वॉक आएंगे लोग, थोड़ा सा हेल्थ बनाएंगे।
Meanwhile, as the number of COVID-19 cases in Delhi continue to rise with each day, Delhi Airport has issued guidelines for taxi operators. These include ensuring that each taxi that enters the airport vicinity is properly sanitized. Guidelines have been issued to all authorized taxi services operating to and from Delhi Airport. All taxi service providers commuting through the airport vicinity must strictly comply with COVID-19 safety measures. These include a thorough fumigation of taxis, ensuring sanitization of every touch point, wearing masks and hand gloves, cashless payment, etc. Delhi Airport has also deployed trained staff at the airport to carry out thermal screening of drivers of various cars entering the airport. In Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh, bus services have resumed after the government's new guidelines. Social distancing is being maintained inside buses, as only 35 to 40 persons are allowed to sit. Also, no one is allowed to board the bus without thermal screening. People are not allowed to stand inside the bus, and wearing mask is mandatory. In Shimla in Himachal Pradesh, public transport also began plying with distancing norms. Night curfew will, however, continue to remain in force across the country. Revised timings will be from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. The police have been in the front line to deal with the coronavirus pandemic. Now, as the country starts unlocking, a special yoga camp is being organized in Muradabad of Uttar Pradesh for the well-being of police and their families. The camp aims at strengthening corona warriors physically as well as mentally. The camp is being conducted every morning from 6 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Policemen are quite happy with the initiative. Inner peace and strong immunity will let them sail through tough times, they believe. Therefore, early morning yoga sessions, they say, are proving to be a big relief. And 2 terrorists were gunned down after a gunfight broke out in Saimo area of Tral subdivision in South Pulwama district today. Incriminating materials including arms and ammunition were also recovered from the slain terrorists. A joint team of police, Army's 42RR, CRPF and Avantipora police launched a coordinated search operation in the area on specific information about the presence of terrorists in the area. As the joint team of forces approached the suspected spot, the terrorists in hiding fired upon them, and the firing was retaliated to, triggering an encounter. The encounter is now over. Security forces recently busted a terror hideout and seized a huge quantity of arms and ammunition in a joint operation in Pulwama district. Security forces thus averted a big attack. In Chhattisgarh, a Maoist was killed in an encounter with security forces in the jungles of Bechapal at Bijapur district today morning. The Maoist had a reward of 8 lakh rupees on his head. The operation was conducted by the joint team of CRPF and District Reserve Guard. Over 62.59 lakh cases of COVID-19 have been reported worldwide, including over 3.75 lakh deaths. Brazil has over 5.26 lakh coronavirus cases. The country's 29,937 coronavirus deaths are the 4th highest of any country, trailing the US and the UK and Italy. Currently, the US has over 18.9 lakh confirmed cases and over 1,05,000 deaths. Regarding fatalities, the UK continues in the 2nd position after the US with over 39,127 COVID-19 deaths, which also accounts for the highest fatalities in Europe. Russia is currently the 3rd most affected country in the world with a little over 4.14 confirmed coronavirus cases and 4,849 fatalities, followed by Italy with more than 2.33 lakh confirmed cases. France's coronavirus cases continue to decline with over 1.89 lakh patients currently being treated in hospitals. Experts of the World Health Organization as well as a range of other scientists said that there was no evidence to support an assertion by a high-profile Italian doctor that the coronavirus causing the COVID-19 pandemic has been losing potency. The virus has infected over 6 million people around the world. And Brazil has registered 11,598 new confirmed cases of novel coronavirus and 623 additional deaths in the last 24 hours. The death toll in the country has crossed the 30,000 mark, while the number of cases is inching closer to 5.30 lakhs. The coronavirus death toll in Mexico surpassed 10,000 with an additional 237 deaths reported in the country in the last 24 hours. The number of cases in the country has now mounted to over 93,000 with more than 67,000 recoveries. Russia reported over 9,000 cases in the last 24 hours, taking the total number of COVID-19 cases in the country to 4,15,000. The death toll in the country is inching closer to the 5,000 mark. Russia has the 4th highest number of cases in the world. Meanwhile, some non-essential businesses, including car showrooms, repair shops and dry cleaners, reopened in Moscow as restrictions were further eased. Almost a week after George Floyd's death, And well, we now bring you these glimpses of a rare species of turtle caught by fishermen at Deoli Dam under Mayurbhanj district of Odisha. Over 30 kgs, weighing over 30 kgs, these turtles are commonly known as soft-shell turtles and are often found in fresh waters. And with that, we wind up this edition of the news. News and updates continue on DD News and DD India. Namaskar.